Now, shifting to more frequently asked questions on what we do and what we offer. Let's say that you're waking up, 50, 60-year-old, it's dawning on you, but you have a pretty meaningful amount of money. You've been doing it for a long time. That's really the service and the value that we provide now is if you've been managing some single family homes or even just some small apartment buildings or you name it, some storage assets or even just land that the family's held, we take those types of assets. We could advise you from a tax standpoint, have some conversations with our CPA team, and we intake a lot of these types of questions and clients and situations and deploy the capital on their behalf because we've built the B-type business of the management and asset management platform. So we offer property management, which is collecting the rents, paying the bills, and employing the team to manage these real estate assets, specifically mobile home parks and one apartment asset. And so that means we employ those people across the board, and we, in return for all of that effort on the day in and day out, making sure that everything's cleaned up, projects are taken care of, real time, on site, on location. That's your property management. And we've built a team specifically to manage that effort. And that then you cross over to the investment side of raising capital, putting 1031 exchanges together from outside parties, or just the sale proceeds from an asset that you can then put in as fresh cash into a deal, one that we're currently pursuing or the likes. And we basically pool this capital to buy another mobile home park. That is acquisitions and asset management. And so now we have an asset management platform because it's that next level of detail. It's when to refi, when to sell, tracking interest rates, tracking the overall performance and the market as a whole on when to sell, who to sell to. It's a completely different business than property management. And we've set up the team, and it is running with very little input from myself and my partner, my sister, Jennifer. And we still are in it. And we still earn income from that. And it is still, a portion of it is active. And we choose to keep it that way. And long term, we're grooming it to be less and less of our time so that we can focus on the investment piece of our life and continue to drive the growth, which means you do things like this to continue to raise awareness of your brand and what you're after. But we have a very interesting skill set now that we've been doing manufactured home communities for 15 years. We have basically a database of questions that we've been encountering along the way. So one of the best strategies that we've found for people that are trying to go completely passive is to set up that, okay, how much do I need to invest in order to become passive? Then the piece of the story or the information that we'd need in order to answer that is how much monthly income are you trying to achieve? Let's say that's $20,000 a month. You're going to have to deploy with us or with somebody else. The question we get asked is, how do I become totally passive? How much would I need to put to work in a real estate asset to give me $20,000 a month? The answer is roughly $5 million for $240,000 a year or $20,000 a month. But that's super doable if you have the $5 million. So then it's, okay, you don't have the $5 million and you're wanting to work your way up and you want to deploy capital. The best time to deploy capital is now, so that asset starts to spin off cash flow and grow and appreciate. Because long term, we do 1031 exchanges, and then that initial capital contribution that you've made, let's just say it's 100,000, eventually that 100,000 becomes 2 over 6 to 8 years on average. And so you then, with us, you're involved in a 1031 exchange. You now have a cash investment that's equivalent to 200,000 and making another 5%, let's say, on average to kick off when we buy a deal. You're now making double the initial cash flow you were making and or almost double, let's say, if the interest has gone up. So it's really, you start to have to put on this investor mentality and an investor hat versus how do I make more money? So then once you build out the strategy of how do I become passive? How do I deploy capital into deals? What types of assets do you want? That's how you can really quantify the cash flow piece of your goal. And then you back into how much money you need to make. So that's really the key, is the number. And everyone has a different number and everyone has different desires. So with that, we'll go into the biggest kind of current shift, I'd say, is a regulatory risk for a lot of our friends in our sphere of friends in San Diego, in California. There's a big regulatory shift towards rent control, and I'd say just sticky policy that really makes it difficult to evict people for non-payment. And so there's a wave of people wanting to probably just declutter their life, get rid of some of the operational intense things that they deal with on a regular basis. They've owned a couple rentals for a lot of years. They have a significant amount of equity in those because they've had them for the long term, and they're really trying to groom for the passive side. Operating single family homes is a challenge in California. When the going's good, it's good. And then when somebody stops paying, it just becomes a really sticky situation to deal with. And you have to run around and deal with that. Attorneys, you need to have kind of a team, or else you get sucked in to the self-employed side of this business of rental homes. So we have a lot of people asking us about strategies on deploying capital. And so it's a soft minimum, but roughly $1 million minimum, where we'll accept 1031 exchanges from homes being sold, and we'll put them in as tenant in common structure in our latest mobile home park deal that we're putting together. So that's been a huge, I'd say, solution long-term. We have amazing CPAs, a CPA firm. Now they just onboarded like head of IRS audits for partnerships. So we have really good guidance on exactly how to do it legally per the tax code on the 1031 exchanges and so forth. So that's huge. Plus, looks like we're going to get a regulatory tailwind with the federal side, which will bring bonus depreciation back. And so that's also huge for the under 1 million, maybe $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 profit from a sale of a house. We could take that and wash whatever the gain is with depreciation in the same year. So we have a lot of strategies that help that. So then let's say you invest that money. We do everything. If you've ever had that dream where you're on a beach and you have Mailbox money, or current is ACH direct deposits, monthly, we do monthly. Some people do quarterly. We like monthly better because that's how often you pay your bills. And the dream is you're on a beach, you have your family, and you really don't have to be anywhere. Now, you could go add value in your job, whatever your career has been, and you can earn active income. But in my opinion, the dream is you don't have to be anywhere. You can completely survive and thrive and have enough money to do what you want and spend your time the way that you want to. And I feel like at the end of the day, time is all we have, and we all have a very minimal amount. We have an uncertain amount of time. If you can start with the end goal being totally 100% passive income, you can then spend your time however you see fit, and you can lean into fulfillment and what you'd really like to achieve on a broader spectrum versus just a career. And I think that's a huge win for every client and or every investor in general. People that get there, they understand that is a huge blessing. And then from there, you start really being able to hone in and spend your time how you really view on a level of value and like what is valuable to your life and the time. The other side of that is you don't plan, you don't think about it, and you end up getting sucked up into the world of busyness and lifelong careers that maybe you enjoy, but you never get the freedom and the sensation that goes with being passive. And you're required to work, and through injuries, through illnesses, you're going to have challenges. And so our goal would be to always, no matter how old you are, no matter, where you're at in your life, also your age, your career, is to start thinking about it and start putting a target out there. And I'd say that's a great place to start. Just put out the target of how much monthly income you'd need to survive being passive, and then you can reverse engineer from there what it takes. So you invest money with us. We deploy the capital. We manage the asset itself to a high bar. For manufactured housing, we put the top line goal on perfect, which is really challenging to do in an asset class like mobile home parks. So we push as far as we can on the stuff that we touch: clubhouse, roads, signage, landscaping, any home we touch, any landscaping that goes around our houses. We now have been pushing the quality and our standard up. And we do all of that, and we have the team to do it. We can deploy the capital, buy the asset, manage the asset, improve the asset, and cash flow the asset, which then means you grow it. You grow the asset, and you grow the top line revenue, which grows your net operating income, which grows value. So you get additional cash flow over time, and then from there you grow the value, and your net worth, your stake, your ownership in that asset continues to grow, and you end up owning more and having more equity in the initial position or initial invested equity that you made. So we cut all of that out, all of the effort involved, and that's where I'd say we earn our portion, and to build that infrastructure. There's a lot of myths around mobile home parks being really easy to operate, and they're not more difficult than any another asset, but they're not necessarily easier. And so there's kind of a perception that it could be completely passive. And even if you just go buy it yourself, it's really passive. There are some deals that would be pretty passive in really good locations, and their occupancy is always high, but you're always going to have somebody on the team or some park manager running around making sure things get done, people pay rent, deal with things that arise. So there's always a management element to these assets. So we've completely solved for that and built the team, and we don't do anything else now. We can really help and achieve that long-term cash flow goal and being 100% passive. If you've ever had that dream, we can help you on your mission and or your quest to get to 100% passive cash flow. Just give us a call. Check out comfortcapital.com for the latest deals.
All right. If you're enjoying this content, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications, and check out the description below for our websites listed. Thanks a lot for joining.